Right, hello and welcome to the Honda S2000, one of the best Japanese sports cars you can own in Gran Turismo 7. Now I know that is a bold statement, but let me explain why. Because we look at the Honda S2000, it is lightweight, it produces decent power, it's front engine rear wheel drive, it's the ideal simplistic recipe or equation to just get a very fun track vehicle out of. Now, the vehicle produces 242 brake horsepower from a 2-liter inline 4-cylinder engine. As I said, it's front engine rear wheel drive and it only weighs 1240 kgs. Now, with the vehicle standard, I'll be the first to admit it, it is not the fastest thing down a straight line, but what it makes up for in just lack of straight line speed is the sound that this engine gives off. With this vehicle standard, being able to rev up to 9,000 RPM is frankly insane. But look, the Honda S2000, even with the vehicle being standard, it's fun, it's responsive, it can be a bit tail happy at moments if you really push it through corners, but overall it's a very good vehicle to learn how to start tuning and really start testing out. It's a very good test vehicle. In fact, I used this vehicle when I was learning to use the Logitech G29 because it's just such a simple, easy vehicle to control, and no matter what circuit you take around, it is just a fun vehicle. And when you take this vehicle and you spend quite a bit of money and upgrade it, well, you get left with something quite exciting. Now we see that with the vehicle fully upgraded, we are left with 444 brake horsepower and a vehicle that weighs 1016 kg. So we made it even more lighter, and we just increased the power by so much, which means now the Honda, where it did lack coming down a straightaway, it has improved. As we see around Kyoto Driving Park, the vehicle now travels over 240 kilometers per hour before we need to slam on the brakes. Now, with the braking system on the Honda Civic, when it's fully upgraded, it can stop on a dime. It's super responsive, super aggressive in fact, and it just slows your car down so much. It's actually quite insane. Now, when it comes to the acceleration of the Honda S2000 compared to stock, it is so much better. When it's compared to other sports cars, look, it can be considered a bit slower, but where it makes up its time is through the corners, because when it comes to cornering, the vehicle is extremely planted, especially when it has racing soft tires and max downforce. Even with no traction control on, it may take quite a bit of effort to get the rear end to slide out. That is, unless you are really pushing the vehicle to its limits. Now, the Honda S2000 is just a fun vehicle that you can actually lose track of time with how much you're going to be enjoying yourself driving this vehicle. Now, with the vehicle, as I said, on Racing Soft max downforce, it only comes in, I think, 713 performance points, which frankly isn't that high. With a little bit detuning, you can bring it down to 700 performance points and take it around the WTC 700 and possibly make some money out of it. So the Honda S2000, with it being fully upgraded, I consider this the perfect track vehicle. So when I saw in update 1.49 we can engine swap it, either we're gonna ruin it or just make it even better and honestly perfect the Honda S2000. So now, if you head on over to GT Auto and you want to spend 250,000 credits, because we can now purchase the engine from the Honda Civic, which is a K24a. Now, with the stats of the engine being stock, well, we see we are gonna produce less power and we are gonna add some weight. But when we take the vehicle out of GT Auto and head on over to tuning shop, well, we see that we can add a few parts, and when I say a few parts, we are limited to the parts that we can add to this vehicle. And once we do add the certain parts, well, we are going to be left with 599 brake horsepower and a vehicle that weighs 1055 kgs. So honestly, the vehicle is still very lightweight and produces a bit more power. nothing really crazy, so we shouldn't really notice that much of a difference, or it's gonna be uncontrollable, let me say that. But when we come down here to driving park straight away, we do see quite an improvement when it comes to top speed, because now instead of doing 240, we are almost doing 270 kilometers per hour. Now it's a good thing that the braking system can actually handle this level of power, and with the vehicle still having great downforce and quite a bit of grip in the rear tires, you are able to go quite quickly around the circuit. Now when it comes to the vehicle using a standard engine, we did find ourselves sitting lap times around the 1 minute 38 second mark, but with the engine swap, well, we can see that time drop all the way down to a 1 minute 33, which is quite an improvement over standard. So I think that the engine swap is really worth it. Now something else that I did enjoy about this engine swap was it didn't really murder the performance points of this vehicle, because we see with the engine swap fully upgraded in this vehicle, the car now sits at 714 performance points, which is not that high. And with some detuning, we can get it to 700 performance points and take it around the WTC 700. Now when I did that, I threw the vehicle on fuel map level 6, I threw my transmission to manual to just help with fuel saving, and I found myself being able to do 2 laps of the circuit before I need to dive into the pits. And when it comes to going down the straightaway, well, even with the vehicle on fuel map level 6, we are seeing ourselves do over 300 kilometers per hour coming down the main straightaway. And when it comes to lap times, well, frankly, we are setting decently quick lap times, with my initial lap time being a 4-minute lap dead, which is quite impressive for the Honda S2000. So yes, you are only going to be able to get 2 laps out of this vehicle if you're really good at fuel saving. Then you can possibly get more out of it, I don't know. But when it comes to fuel saving, I'm not really the best. I won't say, I'm amazing at it, but I think I'm decent. So the Honda S2000, does this engine swap ruin it? Absolutely not. The engine swap makes it actually so much better, and overall I really enjoyed this engine swap in the Honda S2000. I think it's a great addition, in fact a perfect addition for the Honda S2000, because with the power level that the engine swap comes at, well, it's not too overpowered, it's just the right amount of power for the Honda S2000 to handle, and it just takes the perfect track vehicle and somehow makes it even better. So the Honda S2000 with the K24a engine swap in it is a fantastic choice, and I highly recommend you going out and testing this vehicle for yourself. But hey, let me know your opinion, your thoughts of this engine swap in the comment section down below, and with this being said, I'll catch you guys in this video. Peace.